Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well, and it's been 5 years. Yep, it's been 5 years since 2018, a crazy year culturally and musically. One where I can say at least some crazy stuff was happening for me. I had 2 album reviews pop off that year in which I gave 2 records a 10 out of 10. That's right, 2 Teb out of Tebs. What were these magical albums? They were the Daughters record, You Won't Get What You Want. The other was Kanye West and Kid Cudi's Kids See Ghosts. Both like 2 cultural splashes within their respective lanes in the music world. The former being a surprise comeback album from a legendary underground East Coast noise rock outfit, whose last record I thought was pretty incredible. This comeback came through with some of the most insane guitar sounds and noise I've ever heard, totally manic lead vocals, pounding rhythms, great songs with totally blood-boiling performances. This record brought me to some supremely dark places and I couldn't get enough, and yeah, I scored it a 10 out of 10. The other one was, yes, again, Kanye and Kid Cudi teaming up for the short but powerful Kids See Ghosts, a record that Ye dropped in the midst of this miniature album / project run where either he was putting out his own stuff or producing for other artists like Tiana Taylor or Pusha T, as well as Nas. Pretty insane collection of records to drop all at once and have Kanye tied in some form or fashion, but it really was that Kids See Ghosts record that stood out the most for me, and at the time for good reason, not only because of the incredible production, the genre-bending production all over that record, because that album really was not just purely a hip-hop album, it was a fusion of so many different things, but the record was also a celebration of Kanye and Kid Cudi's friendship, their artistic connections, their influence and impact on each other, the legacy they've collectively had over the years as well. And under normal circumstances, I would be doing 5-year roundup videos on these albums, talking about how they've aged over the years for me. However, I don't really feel like doing that because absolutely terrible conduct and behavior has come out of artists involved with both projects since, and it's sort of left me in this cold place to where I don't even have the drive or desire to listen to either album. Now, look, I'm not coming on here to say these artists or any artists in particular, when they do something bad, does it automatically make me just start hating all their music and all the music's objectively turned terrible now. Everything that I've ever said positive about the stuff they've made just doesn't mean anything anymore. No, I mean everything that I've said in terms of praise about that Daughters record and that KSG record, it absolutely still stands. And in the time that I've spent listening to those albums after they've been released, it's not like the quality of those records has fallen off for me or anything like that. But again, there's things about both acts respectively that have turned me off to the point where I'm just not really drawn to their music as much as I used to be, and I would maybe rather be listening to other things. Even if I do reach a place where, I want to listen to Kids See Ghosts again, just put it on the turntable, or any Kanye album for that matter. If I do get back to that point, and I'm not against it happening, I still may not necessarily be in the mood to use my voice and my platform and my social media pages to be promoting the fact that I'm doing that, because I'd much rather be giving some positive attention to an artist that didn't go on a media parade from right-wing show to right-wing show talking about how great Hitler is. So to get this part out of the way first, yeah, obviously, still at this point, everything Kanye did during that period in his career was still pretty gross and terrible and unforgivable, especially since he never really actually apologized for any of it. That whole Jonah Hill 21 Jump Street thing was totally silly and ridiculous. Not an undo or an apology for all the things that he said and did to any serious degree. And chances are, once he kind of ramps things back up again with another album cycle, he'll find ways to continue pushing that sort of crap or something just as hurtful or outlandish. I know the guy's made good music, there's no debating that, but like lots of people make good music, and just because you've made some tracks people like doesn't necessarily mean that you should always just turn a blind eye to terrible and reprehensible behavior. Plus, on top of it, the loudest people who are always jumping down my throat or anybody's throat about how you need to separate the art from the artist, and come on, man, it's Kanye, you gotta forgive him, it wasn't that bad, you're just being too woke. They would absolutely positively be the first ones to never, ever, 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 ever let an artist or somebody else live it down if they did something similar or worse, but let's say it was somebody who they didn't like, or they made music they thought sucked, or they were a rapper who they thought was corny. If it was DaBaby, or if it was MGK, or if it was Logic, or if it was Nav. Let's not also forget this album is supposed to be like, again, a celebration of that connection between Kanye and Cudi. Yeah, I get the album isn't just purely a Kanye album, but in retrospect, it's kind of hard to celebrate the album for that connection, for that collaborative chemistry, because that's obviously something Kanye felt like was not important and was worth totally flushing down the toilet and throwing in the trash, remember, over a guy who tells mid-jokes on SNL. Get out of my face with that crap. Then there's the Daughters album, which there's also difficulty for me around like coming out and praising this record and celebrating it in the way that I originally did when I reviewed it, pretty much because the vocalist stands very credibly accused of all sorts of abuse allegations, the most visible of them being from another artist in the industry, Kristen Hayter, aka Lingua Ignota. She put out an album that reflected on those abuse experiences that I also reviewed, gave it a 10 out of 10, not knowing any of this background, as it later would come out on Twitter, but also an interview that I had with her. Given the heinousness of those allegations combined with Daughter's very poor non-response to them, on top of it also kind of, experiencing secondhand through the music, the pain and suffering that came by way of the treatment described in the allegations, because obviously that's reflected in the Sinner Get Ready album. All of that compiling makes that Daughters record at this point for me very difficult to celebrate and talk about and kind of platform. I haven't really gone back to it a lot lately. So again, to sum things up, I would like to be in a place, in a world where these records can be celebrated more vocally by myself in a way that feels, kind of comfortable and natural and right. But that's just not really the space that we're in. And look, I'm not here trying to virtue signal or flex my morality to you guys and tell you how cool I am because I don't listen to certain albums because an artist's behavior grosses me out. This isn't really about being like woke or an unforgiving asshole either. I think personal growth is possible, even from some of the most terrible behavior out there. And when people actually do put forward the effort to do better and apologize, I think they should be given the opportunity to do so and be heard out. The problem is, in neither of these cases have the individuals who, again, did some pretty terrible shit. Nothing has truly been addressed or acknowledged or disproven or apologized for or anything. And I think in today's day and age, for whatever reason, we like to collectively take rather than an apology, a legitimate apology, in many cases, we'll just accept enough time going by to where not as much has happened or there's less drama or we've just sort of, let it wash out of our minds. We'll take that as as an apology. Just allow us to forget the dumb thing that you did for a moment, and then we'll just kind of let you come back in. So yeah, today in 2023, are either of these albums still a 10 out of 10? I don't care.